exciting here as we wind down and get ready for the Texans. The one unique thing about this is we kind of know them and they know us. They're a heck of a football team, got great talent, great coaching, and we're going to have a good week of practice as we start up here in a couple days. So, and listen, Brett and I still have to go through the cuts, and really he does all that. And he shares it with me. So, but that has not taken place yet, and we'll do that here, I'm sure, in the next couple of days. He's formulating everything up now, and then he'll present it to me and let me know what direction we're going. So, anyways, with that, time's yours.
Let's go to Herbie. Go ahead, Herbie.
Hey, good afternoon, Coach.
Hey, Herbie.
You mentioned the roster cuts there, and this is a time of the year where I know it's never easy on you or even the folks upstairs with Brett Veach and his pro personnel staff. But what is your message to the players who may be on the fringe to keep the dream alive, so to speak?
Yeah, well, we tell them at the beginning, listen, not everybody's going to make our football team, but make it as hard as you possibly can on us to make that decision. And don't count the numbers in the line, just go play. And whether it's special teams or offense or defense, do your best. And then you don't have to look back on that. And then also stay in tune with your strengths and your weaknesses. And if you do get released and you have an opportunity to work on the weaknesses and potentially get another shot. I also normally tell them that everybody's going to have an opportunity to play in the games. Well, they haven't had that. So one reason coaches like having the preseason games is so that the young guys could show, and potentially if you can't keep them on your team, at least they have a chance to go make a living doing this thing with another team. But and like you said, keep their dream alive. Yeah.
Let's go to Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Andy, a couple things. You talked a little bit about not having preseason games and how that impacts the young guys. But from your 53, how do you feel like not having preseason games had an impact? Did it have that much of an impact now that you're in game week? And also, I got to ask, did you get your free cheeseburger yet with your ring?
Well, I haven't. I haven't got the cheeseburger. We've done everything we possibly can to keep practices as fast as we can, but there's nothing like a game. You get a little bit of that in the preseason. It's still not full. It's not as fast as a regular season, but at least you're able to go through those things, knock the wrinkles out of whether it's the play calling or the game day procedure or actually playing in the game as a player. You're kind of able to knock things out and smooth the wrinkles a little bit. So we haven't had that. I still think it's going to be a good product. I think with two good teams playing like this that have experience in their programs with their coaching staff, that it's still going to be a heck of a football game.
Let's go to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Coach, in previous years, Brett's been fairly aggressive at the deadline. Given no preseason, no tape, how much harder does it become to maybe make a deadline deal? Are there special circumstances where there's tape exchange? Just was wondering if you had any insight on that.
Yeah, well, there's not a lot of tape exchanges, from a scheme standpoint. I think the guys were hustling to get their whole scheme in and not able to maneuver around it like you can with potentially preseason games. So, but Brett's got a pretty good feel with his guys on who's out there and the players that he's graded previously, and and whether it's college or pro. So he's on top of all of that. I know they're working like crazy right now.
Let's go to Todd Lebo. Go ahead, Todd.
Hey, Coach, obviously you guys have played the Texans a lot of times, but without the benefit of the 4 exhibition games to watch, are there any difficulties in getting prepared for this game? Because it's the first one, you don't really have any tape from this year?
Yeah, listen, the first game is always a little bit that way because you're never quite sure what the other team's going to do. They're not sure exactly what we're going to do. I mean, that's just, even with the preseason games, it's the first game is really the first 3 games, you're kind of up in the air and not sure exactly what you're going to get presented. So, but that's the way it works every year. And then I'm curious to see how the teams play. I think it's going to be, like I said, I think it's going to be a well-played game, but I'll be curious to see how it all goes.
Let's go to Nate Taylor. Go ahead, Nate.
Hey, Andy. Because this is such an unusual year, I just wanted to ask you, you've been able to give guys the message that they've made the team when it may seem as a surprise to most outside the building. Because this is such an unusual year, what does that feel like for you to give that news that some guys made the team that maybe has never made his NFL debut before? And what will it be like if you had that opportunity in a couple days?
Yeah. Well, normally it's, in a normal situation, you go through the cuts, and if it's a veteran player that you have to release, you're meeting with him, and the young guys are trying to give encouragement to be able to move on. And we're going to support the guys. If they've made it this far with us, we feel pretty good about them. And so we're able to support them if somebody calls us about them. And we want them to be successful. I mean, that's how we go about it. And if you're with us, you're with us. And if we can't keep you, then heck, we want you to be able to make it somewhere else. So that's this year or any year, I would say. I would say the guy that's got the biggest job is Veach, just sorting all of it out. I mean, I'm in the back seat a little bit on that, so I'm okay with that part. He loves this, and he digs in on it, and he and his guys are very organized.
Let's go to Sam McDowell. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Andy. I realize you guys have a veteran-laden team and a lot of guys back from last year, but still around this time of year, just beyond the excitement of being close to a real football game, is there an eagerness to sort of see what you got always this time of year? Do you always sort of just feel that eagerness to find out?
Yeah, I think even more so this year. I mean, it just seems without the preseason games, you normally have a little bit of a lead up, and you have a good idea how the guys are going to react under the lights and or on game day, in our case, under the lights. But it's we haven't had that, and so yeah, I'm curious to see how everything works out and how the team gels together. And every year is a little different, and you got to work through all that.
Let's go to Matt Derrick. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Coach, you've played in this game before on the other side as the team visiting the Super Bowl champs. And even with only 17,000 people in the stands or so, there's still a lot of pageantry and a lot of emotion that goes into the game. Has there been anything that you've said that you don't want for this game, as far as the celebration goes? And how do you keep the guys focused on the game at hand and not the party?
Yeah, well, that becomes important. We've talked about that. It's a year of distractions. They've had some practice with that up to this point, and sudden changes and all that. So I'm not real worried about that part. I think our guys are pretty focused in on what they've got to do, and the team coming in get your attention like real quick that you're playing. So we know we've got to play well, and listen, all that stuff really doesn't matter right now. Whatever goes on, but that doesn't, it's all about right now. So.
All right, guys, we've got time for a couple more. Let's go Breland and then Harold. Go ahead, Breland.
Good morning, Andy. So you kind of really addressed the positive aspects of cutdown day, of telling guys they've made it, and things like that. But the negative aspect, I've had other coaches around the league tell me that this is one of the hardest days of the year for them. Is it even harder this year emotionally because there were no preseason games and those bubble guys might have been slighted in that aspect?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's tough to tell somebody that they've just busted their tail for you for X number of weeks, and now you're going to tell them, hey, listen, it didn't work out. So that's a tough thing. On the other hand, you want to take that and try to turn it into a positive form so that they have something that they can work toward and look forward to. So in this world here of football. So we try to do that and turn what's a negative, try to turn it into a positive. But it's not a great feeling today or whenever that we do this. That's not how we feel. But we want also to make sure that guys understand that this is a pretty good football team, and if you don't make it here with the roster moves that we made this offseason on keeping people here, that listen, there's a chance you make it somewhere else.
Go to Harold to close us out. Go ahead, Harold.
Andy, any fear level when it comes to making these decisions that you're making the right decision and that you might have some back and forth that you have to do in so much of a short period of time? Because it is Saturday when you got to do this cut down day. And also, I just want to close the cap on the ring. I saw all the hugs with everybody. It seemed like it really hit them that they finally got the ring, that it finally hit them. Was that a moment of closure for the guys, or do you still kind of fear that they're still kind of in dreamland because of finally getting those rings so close to game time?
Yeah, well, the rings were nice. I can only go off of how they practiced yesterday, and they did a nice job yesterday, moved around fast and furious. So I think that was a positive. It was a great night, though. I mean, the rings are beautiful, and they've got them. They've got those now, and they don't have to wait on that. But I thought it was a nice night. I think this team, though, just goes on to the next, what's next now. And so that's kind of where we're at. That's the way they approached yesterday. What was the first part of that? Give me the first part with it, Jim.
It's just any fear level that you might make a mistake with personnel decisions when it comes to since you have such a short amount of time.
Yeah, I'm not afraid, but Veach is scared to death up there. No, listen, you go through and you make those decisions all the time in this business, and you make it, you stick to it, you have a reason why you did it, and you go with it. And is everyone going to be right? Well, no, but you hope you're shooting a pretty high percentage there.
Coach, we appreciate your time today. Thank you.
All right, good. Take care now.